Arise, beings, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of The Rise, where we are playing Monty Cook Games' Numenera, Cypher system, that's the word. Gods of the Fall is the name of the game. The Rise is the name of the campaign. And as always, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by clicking on that Patreon link down below, like all of these fine folks here have, because this is our Patreon campaign. But do click on that link, get all kinds of fun behind-the-scenes exclusives, including our after shows and sweet art and all kinds of other exclusives. While you're down there, join us in the Discord, be a part of the conversation, be a part of the community. And as always, in the bottom right-hand corner, our players seem to torture themselves by donating to the corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, I get to torture our lovely players here. And two, that money goes back into unMadeGaming to help us do cool stuff like get art, do designs, put on other shows, and all kinds of other fun stuff. But without further ado, previously on The Rise. Surveying the devastation of Caledar Keep, it was quickly apparent that Stephanie and her newborn could not stay within the city limits. If her attackers didn't return, then surely the Knights of Reconciliation would come sniffing around. The plan was to abscond with mother and child, taking them to safety, but that plan was quickly foiled by the appearance of the Knights. Now, you guys are on a boat, a small rowboat, in the middle of the ocean. You have safely escaped the city of Corso? That's a tricky word there, safely. But you've left the city at a minimum, and you are on the ocean. Where are you guys going? What's the plan here? Nothing has gone to plan yet, so I'm kind of wondering what you guys want to do.
When you don't have a plan,
it can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. That's one line of thought. So you are currently in a boat. Well, they're not in a boat yet, so you I guess you've technically lost them. So you're in a boat, a rowboat. It's you, the four of you. The three of you. A mother, a newborn child, and that crazy old guy. And you are headed east through the Sea of Shadows down the coastline. You know that the plan was to get to Samora, which is north. Fairly far north. So, where are you guys going?
Mina is just rowing, and he'll leave the decisions up for everyone else since his plan kind of put them in this situation. He's just going to wait for someone else to suggest something.
He's a little plan shy.
Yep.
Okay.
I believe the plan is to head to the east a small ways until we can find a safe place to get back to land and then make our way on foot on a road, because you can't sail north through the ground.
You cannot sail. You are, that book learning has done you good, Corax. You cannot sail through the land. You are correct. You are correct. Okay, so you're looking for safe landfall. Who's navigating this journey?
Seydlitz probably would be.
Okay.
He's probably at the head of the boat.
Okay. Seydlitz, what's your sailing situation like? Have you ever been in a boat before?
No.
Okay. Well,
Seydlitz doesn't do boats all that often.
It turns out it's a little bit harder to navigate in the water than it is in land, which is where Seydlitz is pretty good about. It's pretty good about that. So I would like a roll from you. I would like a corruption bar. I would like a roll from you. Let's see here. Seydlitz, what kind of roll should it be? This is definitely going to be an intellect roll. Your navigation skill applies, of which you are trained in, which is totally fine. So roll me a navigation. It's going to be a difficulty. It's going to be a difficulty 5. Okay, all right. That's success. Okay, so Seydlitz, where do you want to land?
Hmm. Probably somewhere to the east, maybe near the what he believes in the general direction of the Ghost Wood.
Okay, so you want to travel. Okay, so you want to like really lose these guys. Okay, so that is you're gonna be tired, Mina. I know you're a strong seamstress over there, but you're gonna be tired. Um, the area to the Ghostwood, which is to the east, is probably the better part of a day's travel. On the bright side, it was morningish when you left, so you can probably land by the Ghostwood before nightfall. If you think Seydlitz, that is the safest place to go.
Yep.
All right. So that is conveyed, and Mina, you begin to row tirelessly. Um, while you're rowing, while you're all making your way down the coast here, what are you guys doing? You're going to be here for a while. Necro, you're muted.
I was singing,
Oh.
making your way downtown.
Perfect. Perfect. I also sang it in my head, so I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Yeah, so you guys are in this boat for the majority of this day. Stephanie is holding the quiet child, who is abnormally quiet. Like abnormally in the sense that children are usually loud, not that something bad happened to this child. And Dreschen, I think Dreschen has just passed out of fear and exhaustion. It's been a lot. He's kind of old, and he's been through the ringer in the past couple days. I think he's just exhausted and down. So it leaves the three of you and Stephanie.
I think Korax would be spending most of his time staring out the back of the boat, with Seydlitz watching where we're going, trying to navigate to where we're going. Korax would be worried about people following.
Okay.
And yeah, just keeping an eye out for the, I want to say reclaimers?
The reconciliators.
That's the one. He's looking out for them, chasing us down.
Okay. Okay.
And any other downtime, he would probably be chatting to Stephanie about her home, the journey there, how she got down to Corso, and if she knows any ways or routes that we should be avoiding.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so as you kind of peer out the back of the boat, surprisingly enough, though paranoia should subsist, there is no one following you. Perhaps there wasn't a boat quickly enough in the water in time to catch you in sight lines. Perhaps you're gone kind of thing. They're not super worried about you. Perhaps they have other means of finding you. You're not entirely sure. Your knowledge on the reconciliators is a little low. But Stephanie does chatter with you. She notes that Samara is she has family there. She's not actually from Samara. She's actually from Corso. She came down to Corso. She's probably like in her early 30s. So she came to Corso as a child with her family, who are now passed. But she describes like the journey she's taken a few times as a kid to like adulthood to Samara, and how usually it's through caravan and it's usually fairly safe. The caravans are known to hire like guards just in case brigands or any kind of the subhumans attack. But her overland travel and or scouting abilities are lacking. They're what you'd expect of a brand new mother, so to speak, right? But she's absolutely down to make some chatter there. Mina, what about you as you row seemingly forever?
I think Mina is rowing. After he gets a bit tired, he kind of looks around at the rest of the people in the boat with him, looking for someone else to do the rowing, and then kind of after looking at Korax, Dreschen, Stephanie, Seydlitz kind of sighs, gets back into rowing.
Yeah.
You'll listen to the conversation between Korax and Stephanie, and he'll kind of inappropriately say, so does that divinity thing run through your family, Stephanie?
No, not that I'm aware of. I, I'm sorry. Did you mean the dreams?
Yeah, the dreams and the glowy symbol thing above the baby.
I don't understand.
When is it still over the baby, that
You can see it.
little nimbus? Yeah. That glowy symbol thing over the baby that I think Korak said it means the baby's divine or something.
Yeah, it's a sign of divinity.
Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. Do you have some kind of like a motion sickness?
No, this was even before we got in the boat. This was back in the keep.
She like runs her hand over the baby's head, and you can see the baby's asleep now. There's nothing here.
It's not like a physical thing that you can touch.
Well,
Something you
it's
can
not like
see.
a thing I can see either. Apparently,
But it's there. We can all see it, right?
you can all see it.
But it's there. Look, it's just above its, like, that far above its head.
I'm sorry, I don't see anything.
Korax quickly checks through his books. Oh, Mina, it's because she's not divine.
But neither of mine, I can see it.
That it's a good indication that you probably have some divinity too.
Bah, bah, bah.
No, that doesn't check out. That's.
Says no.
I'm sure I'd know by now.
I mean, yeah, but we did just beat up. Hold on. You did blow up something big in the courtyard. That doesn't just happen. It's a big explosion.
I don't think it was me so much as the dangerous ciphers it was carrying. They kind of blew up, and I mean, we did get covered in kind of angel goo. Maybe that's why we can see it.
But I was inside. Oh, no, I was coming outside.
You were inside.
So I wouldn't have had angel goo on me, but I can see the nimbus above the child and above everyone else.
Can I still see it above everyone else?
Everyone else has faded a little bit. If you like really are trying to look for it, you can still see it.
Yeah. Maybe you got residue. I mean, it was a lot of goo.
Potentially. Maybe I stood in some when I walked outside and followed everyone else. I don't know how this works.
That makes more sense than the other thing you were saying. And Stephanie wasn't outside in the goo, so I mean, she was in goo, but it was like giving birth goo, not angel exploding goo.
But I mean, the baby's the divine one.
That makes more sense to me, and yeah, maybe the angel goo is why we can see the baby's symbol thingy, and Stephanie can't.
Could be.
Maybe what? And Mina will kind of kick Dreschen to wake him up and say, "Can you see the symbol thingy?"
No. What?
The glowy symbol thing above the baby's head. Can you see that?
No, there's nothing there. It's just a sleeping baby.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I dozed off there for a bit.
Yeah.
You've been snoring for a while. I mean, between you and Seydlitz, it's been a bit of a concert, but
It's been a real rough couple of days.
yeah, we were there. We kind of get it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's awake and she had a baby like 5 hours ago.
I know, and I would love to get to a place where she can rest as well.
Yeah, but don't you think that she should be more tired than you?
I don't know. I'm not really a doctor.
Are
I
you
just
sick?
know that I'm tired and old.
I was gonna say it's probably because you're old.
I agree, actually. Where are we going, by the way?
I don't know. Mina's just rowing and following Seydlitz, who's
Yeah, Seydlitz said something about a ghost wood.
Oh.
I'm gonna go there at night.
Is there any reason why you would go to the Ghostwood?
Because it's not Corso.
It's not wrong.
It's not. Okay. Okay. You're right. It could be safer than Corso. Just don't. Yeah, don't touch the trees.
I won't touch them if they won't touch me.
I don't know that that's what they would do, but also just don't touch them. From what I know,
Got it.
It's dangerous there. There's stories of loggers that have come back from there. No one goes there anymore. Every logger that has cut down a tree or cut into a tree has died within 30 days.
Okay. Don't touch the trees. Don't cut the trees. Got it.
They were screaming about seeing ghosts for weeks before they died, and then
I mean, I guess that's why it's called the ghost wood.
I don't disagree with you. But if that's what you guys think is the best course of action, then
I mean, if you have a better plan, we're open to suggestions.
there's a town shortly before that, probably about half the distance, I think. Excuse me, a town called Auric. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure that it's much better. It's definitely not Corso.
I mean, if it's closer, kind of Mina will kind of rub one of his arms and says, "If it's closer, I'm all for that."
It is closer. It's less of a town really, and more of a like a monastery.
That sounds safer than Ghostwood.
Yeah.
And Mina will kind of kick Seydlitz awake.
You get a boot in the ass,
Huh?
Seydlitz.
Huh? What? Are we under attack?
No, Drescher was saying that there's a town called Auric that's closer than the Ghostwood, and since I'm the one doing all the rowing, that gets my vote.
Well, you're the one driving, aren't you? Take your choice.
I'm rowing. I don't know. No, necessarily which direction we should be heading in.
Make landfall shortly of where I told you to go, and you should be fine.
Okay, like now.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So you continue rowing for an approximate 10 minutes until you get to landfall. It's rocky, kind of desolate land. It's not quite a cliff face, but it's definitely not like a beach, right? It's definitely like it's a shore for sure. It is a rocky, desolate shore, like no sand, just like that, like land into mud, right? And you're able to just kind of wrench the boat and sort of, float onto land a little bit, and wedge the boat into the mud there before you can kind of hop out and make actual landfall. Seydlitz, you're familiar with directions, so you can at least determine what north is. And based on your last roll, you can just have that one. You know what north is. It's it's up from where you were traveling before. You make a 90-degree turn, and you're going north now. So you're easily able to navigate to the north. However, navigating to Uruk itself is nearly impossible since you've never been there, and you have no idea where the hell you are right now. Dreshen kind of speaks up and says, I think if we just go north from here, there's eventually going to be a road. And either we're between Corso and Uruk, or we're between Uruk and the Deadwood. Either way, getting to the road would be the best bet to finding Uruk. It should be directly north, like I said.
Before they leave the boat, Mina will push the boat out into the water and then put his spear through it and put a hole in it.
Okay, yeah, so you kind of get it out there, jab a hole, and let it drift off, and you see like bloop, 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 a water just sort of slowly starts to fill the bottom of the boat as you guys presumably head north. The land doesn't really change. It's pretty shitty and gray here. You are in the middle of the shadow of Nod here, so it is dark. Everything is nighttime. You all know that lighting a torch will obviously help you travel more safely, physically, but lighting a torch could also attract any number of things. So your own level of safety is entirely up to you guys. Does anyone light a torch? Does anyone create any kind of light at all?
I think Mina will assess how Sephanie is coping without the light, and if she seems to be struggling, he'll just light the torch.
She is going slow, and you can see that Dreshen is like beside her, but with like a hand on her back, because she's going extra slow because she's also carrying the child and is in fear of like tripping over something. She's taking the extra precaution of speed. The light would help speed her up if speed is something you're trying to go for.
Yeah, then Mina will light a torch to help guide her and help her keep her footing.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you light this torch. It sort of bathes the area in this like reddish kind of glow, playing against the dark sky. And you guys continue north. While you guys are marching northward, is there anything you guys are doing on this journey, this trek?
As Mina lights the torch, Seydlitz pulls out his crossbows and loads the bolt because he's very wary of the environment around him.
Yeah.
And he just got exposed, basically.
Yep, I get it. Yeah, so you knock a bolt to the rear of your crossbow, and you continue. Are you leading, I assume, Seydlitz?
No, he's letting the torch lead.
Okay, so you're letting Mina lead. Okay, so Mina, you're kind of out in front. Korax, where are you in this happy family?
I think Korax would be behind Stephanie, and just because the torch has been lit, he would be looking around constantly. He's traveled the roads, knows they're not safe.
Yep.
He'll just be on the lookout for anything that is paying attention to the light. He'd probably be keeping Stephanie directly between him and the torch.
Yep.
To sort of keep his vision in the dark.
Yeah, to kind of keep that
as
that
good as
little bit.
possible.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. You've probably traveled the Nightlands more than most, I think, given your propensity for caravan riding. You know enough not to jump at every like snapping twig or sound of a creature in the darkness, but you're also like tuning in to hear anything that's not normal. So you hear a lot of normal nature sounds like happening around you. Nothing quite to draw your attention or draw like the hairs on the back of your neck to stand, which in and of itself is a little strange, especially for the five of you walking. You are an easy target if ever there was one, and frankly, none of you look that imposing that someone who was inclined wouldn't take a shot. But there isn't one. Nothing seems to happen. Seydlitz, you have an arrow knocked to the back of your crossbow. You are sweeping your gaze side to side. Mina, you are holding the torch aloft to try to lead the way and light the path forward. And eventually, you see the terrain kind of change, at least for a small bit. And you see a well-worn path that continues both to the east and to the west. You can only assume this is the road that Dreshen had mentioned. He says, "Oh, this is it. This is the road. I think." And he walks across the road, so to speak, and into the like the land immediately on the other side of it. And he starts like stomping around like heavily, like he's like jumping almost, like he's jamming his foot into the ground, and you can tell he's like kind of searching for something. He says, I think Oryx should be this way. And he points west.
Is that a guess?
Can I double check him on that?
No. Because you don't know where Oryx is.
But I know he's pointing west.
Mm-hmm.
And I know west is in the direction of Corso.
It is, yeah. So here's the thing. So Oryx, as far as he knows, is between Corso and the Deadwood. So between Corso and the Ghostwood. And you guys didn't go all the way to the Ghostwood, but you did tell Mina to stop shortly before where you said to make landfall near the Ghostwood. So he's guessing Oryx must be back that way some, and not this way some, right? He thinks that more to the east is possibly the Deadwood or the Ghostwood, and possibly backwards to the west is where Oryx should be. Unfortunately, Seydlitz, you don't actually know where Oryx is, so you're not entirely sure where it could be in relation to where you are.
Well, with no other information, let's head west.
Okay. So you guys, are you staying to the road?
I think Mina will stay to the side of the road, and making sure that, and he'll keep the torch going so that Stephanie's got an easy job with it.
Okay. Are you staying on the side of the road that you came up to, or the side that Dreshen was jumping on?
Which is there a incline? Is there?
No,
the
in
higher
fact,
side
the
of the
whole road kind of declines in the direction you're going towards.
I think he would go on the side of the road that's closer to the shoreline.
Okay. So the southern portion of the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
As we start to travel, Korax would turn to Mina. You either want to put that torch out, or you want someone else to carry it. You're muted.
I'm Yeah, I just thought the person carrying the torch is probably the bigger target.
Yeah, but it's also not going to be as easy to fight with a torch in your hand as it would be with a spear in your hand.
Yeah,
Either
makes
I can
sense.
carry it or the old man can carry it, but the roads are not safe. Not in the shadow of Nod.
I mean, can we do without the torch, I guess, since we're at the road?
If we stay on the road,
Okay, then
Stephanie
Mina
is
will
okay.
put the torch out.
Okay. Easy enough. So yeah, you kind of douse the torch. I assume you have some kind of dousing mechanism for that. You do notice that, like, when you motion to the old man can carry it, you see that he is on the opposite side of the road still, and he'll like take a few steps and then like stomp with his foot a couple more times, and he'll like walk a little bit, like a few minutes go by, and he stomps again with his foot as if he's like searching for something on that side of the road. He doesn't really make mention to it, but he seems to be like whoever's leading, whoever's like in the front, he seems to be keeping pace with them and then stomping and then continue to keep pace. And then a few minutes goes by and he stomps some more. Strange behavior, but he's not making a big deal about it.
As Korax is keeping an eye out and looking around, he would eventually comment on it. Dreshen, what are you doing?
Oh, if we're going to the west, if we're where I think we are, the ground should get soggy soon. And he stomps a few more times.
And if it doesn't,
then we're going the wrong direction.
right.
It's hard to tell where we are, but I think if we are where I think we are, we should be between the Deadwood and the Gurudon Marsh, and Oruk is on the western edge of the Gurudon Marsh. So we should, and he stomps again, the ground should get soggy sometime, and I'm just not entirely sure where we are in relation to the marsh.
If the town's on the western edge, then
Yeah.
surely you'd be in the marsh now.
There's quite a bit of land between the marsh and the Deadwood, so I'm not entirely sure how far we went.
I mean, we are heading downhill, so that would indicate that at some point we might get to a marshy area that's in a lowland.
That's what I was thinking. Stomp.
Mina will look at Korax and says, seems sensible to me.
Sounds like logic.
I like that all of you ended up in places you have no geographical information about, which is outstanding. So this continues on for like a few more minutes, and eventually you hear like thump, quick, that muddy squish, and he like pulls his boot out with that like sucking noise, and he says, "Okay, I think we hit the marsh. We could go through the marsh, but I think it's more dangerous than staying on the road."
Mina will look at Stephanie and the baby and suggests maybe, the marsh probably wouldn't be conducive of carrying a baby.
Of a newborn? Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, so he comes on the same side of the road as you guys are, and you guys can continue on. And as you move forward, even without the light, you can see the terrain difference as it really gets to become marshy, and not just like the wet area he stepped in. And it becomes like full-on marsh. And this road skirts the edge of it. Like portions of the road have kind of like caved away a little bit towards marsh, as the marsh kind of expands a little bit. But after like an hour of walking through this marsh road, you see a large stone wall rise up before you as you kind of crest back upward out of the marshlands to what could only be Auric, the monastery of Auric. And as you get closer, the wall kind of gets bigger as you move towards it. You see that the whole town is walled in. And you see that like at the same level of the wall is a low stone building that takes up a large portion of the walled in area.
Is there a
Oh,
obvious gate or anything?
Yeah, once you guys fully make your way up the road, there is a portcullis closed like an old school castle.
Mina will look for any way to indicate to the wall that they're there, like if there's a bell or.
Yeah, you actually move up to the wall, and you go to look for this, and you can actually once you move closer, it's kind of hard to see in the ever-present darkness. The portcullis is actually 3/4 of the way up. So like if you kind of just like dip your head a little bit, you guys can get through perfectly fine. There is no hustle and bustle in what makes for the courtyard. However, you can see that there are lit windows inside the actual monastery proper.
Mina will look around for anyone because it seems peculiar to him that there would be a gate and a wall without anyone manning it.
Doesn't it just seem peculiar? Yeah, roll me an intelligence, difficulty 3, observation skills apply. Nope. You don't see anyone. Yeah, you don't see anybody.
This seems weird, Mina will say to Korax. There's no one manning the gate.
I mean, it's a monastery. Is it evident that it's a monastery?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a big wall and a portcullis if you're not trying to defend something.
maybe they believe the wall and the portcullis are enough. Maybe they believe their faith will protect them.
I don't think anyone thinks their faith is going to protect them these days.
Faith in what? The walls?
An open portcullis?
Maybe they built the wall and made the swamp creatures pay for it.
Mina will call out. He'll just at the top of his lungs he'll say, "Hello in the keep."
As soon as your voice kind of rings out, you hear a bell, but it's not like a warning bell or an alarm bell. It's nothing like aggressive, like a gonging bell. You hear like this like series of tinkling bells, as if like almost like a series of wind chimes, right? And the door of the monastery opens. This wooden double door slides open, and you see 3 men walk out of there, all in nearly identical matching outfits. They have like the first word that came to mind was like parachute pants, but really it's like the pants from like Aladdin, where they kind of crop up at the calf size, like calf high, and then it's like socks or boots from the calf down. You can see that they all have a sash at their waist, with about a foot of extra fabric that kind of goes down and hangs at their hip, from their hip to like their knee, and they have these like vests, and as they kind of get closer, you can tell that like the vests are like this dark purple kind of color, and the vests are like fastened with these red toggles, and there's like open slits on the side, and you can see that there is no undergarment underneath these vests. And from what you can see, Mina, you're a strong boy. These 3 dudes are jacked. Like they're very like they are like model-esque. They're you know, statue of David as they walk out. Almost exactly matching stride, like completely in tandem step as they walk out. And they walk directly up to the gate. They all bow, and they like hold their bow down for like 5 seconds, and they get back up. And the one in the center speaks, and he says, "Welcome. This is the chapter house of Uruk. How can we be of assistance to you?"
Yeah, we're looking for somewhere to lodge and spend the night.
You can see the other two kind of look around and like assess your group. And they look to the one in the center, and the one in the center looks back to you and says, "Is the woman with child?"
Yes.
"This way." And they all turn in that same lockstep and move back as like one unit towards this monastery.
Mina
Hey,
will,
let's get an immediate uneasy feeling.
I mean, they seem like good guys to me. They haven't tried to kill us yet. That's a plus.
That's true.
They don't need to try to kill you to make you uneasy.
Also true.
Yep. Mina will kind of indicate for Stephanie to follow, and he'll follow along behind her.
Okay. Corax, you have some. I can see some opinions forming in your head. What are you thinking there, buddy?
Corax doesn't trust them. Apart from them being jacked, is there anything else evident about them or this place?
Evident in what kind of way?
It's a monastery.
Mhm.
Monasteries are for praying to something.
Okay.
He's trying to figure out whether they are. I mean, they can't be praying to the old gods because they would probably be destroyed by now.
That is true.
By the terrible people in Corso. Yeah, he's just trying to figure out what they're a monastery of.
Yeah. No, there's nothing on them that would depict that, other than the fact that all of them wear identical matching outfits.
Yeah, he would just follow behind very slowly.
Okay. So very,
keeping
very,
very
very
quiet.
cautious.
He'd pull his hood up as he walks in, cover his hair, and sort of just slide in behind everyone else.
Okay. And Seydlitz, what about you?
Seydlitz is running through his head, and he's looking at some of the architecture of this place. How old does it look?
It is pre-fall. So it is definitely old. I mean, the fall was only 40-something years ago, but it's pre that, which means it was pretty good construction if it survived. As far as that goes, you'd have to roll some kind of intelligence-based check to see. You're not really a mason or a history guy. But yeah, go ahead and roll me an intelligence. Difficulty's going to be 5.
Through all this. No.
It's definitely pre-fall. You know that for sure. It looks pretty old. It looks pretty old, but well-maintained. Other than that, you're not exactly sure how old this place could be. Do you also follow in, or are you kind of staying on the outskirts?
I'm following Corax, but I'm very wary of these three.
Okay. I dig it. So you all make your way inside. Mina, first you go, you leading Stephanie and Dreschen with you. And as soon as you get within maybe 5 feet of the door, you begin to hear noises. And soon Corax and Seydlitz, you guys catch up in your trepidation, and you hear noises. And it sounds like an aggressive chorus. Is the best way to put this. It is the sound of multiple people, multiple dozens of people, all in tandem, making like grunting physical exertion noises. And as you walk in the threshold, you see in perfect synchronicity, all in perfectly matching outfits as the three men that came out to guide you in. It's about 40 people all doing martial arts in like unison. So every couple seconds you hear like a yeah, ha, ha kind of thing as all these people execute perfectly timed martial arts. The three men sort of nod, and you see a person who's like on a pedestal almost nod back to them, and you guys are led around this matted area and further inside the monastery proper. Through another set of double doors to where it is a large like banquet hall. Think like Hogwarts. There's like a bunch of long tables with long benches on them, likely for the 40 people that are over there. And he motions for you to sit. He says there will be food will be served soon if you'd like to take a rest, and motions towards any one of the tables for you to sit at.
Mina will bow and say thank you, and immediately lead Stephanie over to sit somewhere with the baby.
Okay. Dreshen obviously follows you. Korax and Seydlitz, how are you guys feeling?
Korax would stop next to one of the karate people.
Yep.
And not sort of looking directly at them, sort of keeping his hood between them. So this was a monastery, and now you use it for training?
Are you speaking to one of the people who are doing martial arts?
No, one of the guys who've walked with us.
Okay, so one of the three.
Yeah.
He looks to you and he says, no. This is a monastery.
To who?
What do you mean?
Monasteries before the fall were to the gods. Or for the gods.
Not all of them.
All the ones I crossed.
Have you been to this one?
No.
Well then, you haven't been to all of them.
It's a squelchy road. Why would I come this way?
Squelchy road. This is not a monastery to any god. This is a monastery to the physical being. We don't worship here. We adapt a lifestyle. And we train our body accordingly.
And leave your doors open, apparently.
All are welcome. As long as they mean no harm.
That is fantastic to hear.
Hey,
Thank you for your hospitality.
Seydlitz butts into the conversation a bit. Korax, I would assume the way how these people train their bodies, I would not want to be anyone who comes here with ill intent.
Not everyone comes with good intent. Traveling the roads, you meet a lot of bad people.
I'm aware. I've dealt with some bad people that had a few accidents before.
I'm just glad we have somewhere safe. And he bows. Thank you very much for your hospitality.
He returns the bow and motions you to join your friends in sitting there. There is no food on the table yet. You do see another set of doors in the same direction you guys were walking. You see sets of doors on either side of the left and right wall of this place. You can still hear the sounds of martial arts practice coming from the preceding room, even after the door has closed. And after a few minutes of that noise, it stops, like, abruptly, in unison, as you would kind of expect at this point. And the door opens, and single file, all 40 of those people begin to walk into the room and take their seats. In the short few minutes that you guys were sitting there in the not-so-silence, is there anything you guys would have been talking about or trying to strategize?
Mina is definitely just enjoying not walking and not rowing for a moment. So he'll take I guess the equivalent of a short rest.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. You take a seat. You take a seat. And if you'd like to actually recover, you can do so. I'm not sure which recoveries you have available, but there is a single action recovery. There is a 10-minute recovery if you need one of those. Perfect. So that was your single action. Yep. Your 10 minutes. Your 1 hour one you can't take. It hasn't been 1 hour. So Seydlitz, you don't have a 1 hour one yet. You can spend actually, you know what, you guys are going to spend the night here. You can spend your 1 hour over the course of dinner. That's totally fine. But all 40 of these people walk in, and as they walk in, since you guys are kind of sitting near the door, you realize your assumptions were incorrect in that this isn't a room of 40 men. It is a room of 40 people, all of which have the exact same hairstyle, outfit, and uniformity about them, so it was quite easy to mistake it all as a room of men. All of their heads are shaved down to like a buzz cut, basically, and they are all wearing identical uniforms as they single file march into this in that same lockstep and sit in these rows the same way you are. There's a few bodies worth of space between you and the next sweaty karate master. You know, they don't want to be rude, but they sit down, and in unison, they all, like, as soon as the last person sits down, in unison, they all place their hands flat, like palm down on the table, and they bow to the point where their forehead touches the table itself, and they stay there for about 10 seconds, and then all in unison, they all get back up, and as soon as they get back up, the two doors on the outside open, and in come a bunch of people, probably like 10 more people, 5 from each side, each carrying trays of food, all still in the exact same uniform, and begin sliding out food. You see one guy go in, come back out with more and more food, and they slide food over to you. And the food is meager, but good. Like, it's not like a lot of food. It's not like a banquet hall. It's not like this is like a big, masterful feast. But it does look like hearty food. There is a source of protein, what you assume to be some kind of imported chicken type of dish, and there is fish, which you assume is from the marsh, perhaps from the Sea of Shadows. You're not entirely sure. And there is a some amount of greens of which you don't identify. But everyone digs in immediately, and this is the first sign of synchronicity that you've ever seen. They're all eating in their own time, not like some weird robot people. But yeah, you have a plate slid in front of all of you, and strangely enough, you see the server or the person who is doing the serving comes over to the edge of the table and is stretching like a piece of rubber over a glass, essentially, and slides it to the mother, to Stephanie. And he has put on some kind of nipple on top of a glass so the baby can drink as well, as if they had this thing ready. And they continue to eat in relative silence, leaving you guys to your own devices. What are you guys up to?
Mina just starts eating.
Okay. It's pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
Korax would have tried to follow their tradition of bowings. As you see everyone put their hands, he would try to follow them through all their motions, assuming that that's what you're supposed to do to not get beaten up here.
Yeah, I mean, no one really, like, it's hard to explain. You don't feel like you're getting the cold shoulder or like you're being ignored, like in any kind of passive aggressive kind of way. It's just that they're not interacting with you. In the same way that the three that led you in here also didn't interact with you in any way until you asked them questions. So the people, they're not looking towards you, unlike the people that were like in the bar, the Karak They're not looking towards you. They're just doing their normal routine as if you're not even here. But you don't sense any kind of malice or passive aggression from that at all. But yeah, they continue doing their thing. Stephanie is nursing. Dreschen is also wolfing the food down. You recall you haven't actually seen Dreschen eat since he stormed into the bar that first day. So it might have been some time since he's actually had a meal. And you guys are able to eat if you so choose. Mina, as you kind of dig in, the food's pretty good. The chicken, of what you assume to be chicken, and fish are seasoned pretty well, with like legit spices. And the green vegetable you're assuming is like wilted spinach meets wilted kale. You're not able to identify what the hell you're eating, but it doesn't taste bad. It's lightly salted, and it has a faint hint of the buttery fatness of butter. Everything tastes pretty good. Stephanie digs in. Dreschen digs in.
When they gave us the bowls or plates of food, did it look like they specifically came to us, or did they just dish it up in order, like hand out a plate in order?
Yes, the latter, in order. Since you guys kind of sat towards the karate side of things, they started from the opposite end and worked their way down. And then you guys are on one row, so they would end with you and they would start with the next row. So it wasn't like you had a special meal. And if you look down the line, everyone seems to have nearly identical plates of nearly identical food.
Right. So yeah, if it doesn't look like we've been specifically given a meal,
yep,
he would just dig in and eat.
Yeah, same. As soon as you dig in, expecting this to be some kind of gnarly keto diet, it is. It's not. It's pretty good. It's fairly delicious. More so than you would expect. And Seydlitz, are you also joining in on the feast?
He's looking at it and he's taking it very slowly.
Okay.
He's still suspicious and he's just kind of looking around as he just takes a bite here and there.
Okay. Everyone roll me poison checks. No, you're fine.
I was actually thinking about rolling identifying or assessing danger for that
there's no apparent danger here. There's no reason to be afraid. Everyone is doing the same thing as you are. And as you look around, Seydlitz, you see that Mina and Korax have both started eating, as well as Dreschen, Stephanie, and the baby. However, in the time it takes you all to finally mosey into eating, excuse me, the other 40 or so members of the table stop eating. They are completed almost simultaneously. They have finished eating, and they sit back, or they kind of lean and place both hands on the table again. No bow this time. They place both hands on the table, and the door at the far end opens, and out walks someone. You've never seen this person before, and frankly, you've never seen a person like this before. A man walks out. You guesstimate to be in his 30s. Same outfit, same kind of physique, same shaved head, although his is shaved like to the scalp. It's completely bald. The strange part is, this man is as dark as the night sky. He is nearly jet black. He strides out, and he sits at a table. A chair that you now kind of see at the far end of these four tables, and he sits there in a. It's not like a chair with like a back, which is why it's easy to miss. It's just sort of like a chair that if you removed, like a stool, I guess, if you removed the arms in the back of a chair, but still kept that square kind of chair shape, with a like a poof pillow on top of it. He sits on this and crosses both of his legs and crosses both of his hands in front of him and sits them on his lap. And you see that he sits there and closes his eyes, and everyone else also like turns to him, and they all close their eyes, and simultaneously there is like a low hum as you hear each individual person like all at the same time as you guys like continue eating. The only noise in the room besides the hum is the sounds of your forks and knives hitting the plate. What are you guys doing?
Korax, when they all stopped, Korax would have stopped and pushed his plate away because he doesn't trust us.
Seydlitz would have set his stuff down, and he would just be observing.
Sit in silence.
Yeah, you
So
see
another
that
tune.
happen. Yep, that's fair. You see that happening. That low hum kind of goes about the room, and then those same 5 people, or well, you assume them to be the same 5 people, come from either side, and they begin to work their way down much the same way and take the plates. When they get to your side, they reach the end of the table, and much like when the guy stretched the nipple over the glass, he stops and he leans in very, very quietly. And he like just above a whisper, he says to all of you, "Are you done?" And then quietly begins to slide your plates onto his, and then if you're all done, if you're,
I whisper back to him, "What's going on?"
He looks to you and he leans in and he says, "It is time for meditation." And then he quietly stands back up, continues, and begins to take your plates back towards wherever the hell is through those doors. And you see this again. These 5 guys go into one side, they come back, clean that whole row, come back, clean the second row, and then the 5 on the other side do the same thing, taking all these plates into whatever's in those doors. You would assume to be some kind of kitchen area. As the humming continues for a while. In fact, those of you who are like actively observing this, whatever this is, this meditation, as this guy said, you're not even sure you see the people breathe in. Like, if they are breathing in or breathing at all, it's incredibly subtle. Like, they're doing the hum, and their chest never really rises, but it also never really falls. So perhaps some kind of cyclical breathing, perhaps this is some kind of strange magic. You're not entirely sure what the hell is happening, but you know it's different and a little bit weird. But you're guests here, so who knows? As this continues for a while, what are you guys doing?
Miena is trying to remain quiet, but also not participating. He's not gonna fake it to make it, sort of thing. He's just gonna sit there and observe quietly. And is there a drink on the table or anything?
There would have been water served with your meal. So if you held on to that, it would still be there.
And he probably at one point takes a drink and does it a bit too loudly and kind of winces and quickly puts it back on the table.
Yeah, as you do, and like the thunk of the glass on the table, no one turns. They all seem to be in the same kind of meditational state. As you guys kind of sit here, you hear like the baby, like, oh, go ahead, Seydlitz.
Seydlitz was gonna quietly as he can stand up, and he was gonna walk out. Just out, like, say, is there like a porch or some place I could just go where I could just overlook the town?
Yeah, you can go back out the way you came, past the martial artist mats, and outside into the courtyard.
I was gonna go out there and just find a wall to lean against and quietly and kind of secretly take that last remaining spirit he stole from the bar on his way out, and he's gonna take a drink.
Sure, yeah. You quietly leave. Obviously, the door makes some noise, but again, those of you who are watching the meditation, none of the people look or turn back. You walk through where they were doing martial arts, and it is like, because you only saw it as a cacophony of noise, it is almost eerily quiet in the still of this. But you're able to walk through the exterior double doors outside, and you see the courtyard before you, the crisp night air, or day air. You're not entirely sure what the hell time it is. the crisp air of darkness, and you're able to take a swig on this final bottle of spirits that you had stolen from the Karak. Is there anything you're doing while you're out here, or are you just kind of taking the night air in?
Is there a way? I'm just kind of taking things in. Is there a way to get up on top of the wall by any chance?
If you like climb up there, if you clamber up there, or have like a kind of a rope, or if you like move a
No
barrel,
stairs?
there's no stairs. No. Nope. And the wall isn't even crenulated. Like there's no like. It looks like a wall. It's like it's not meant to be stood upon.
Oh, it's just a normal, boring wall.
Yep.
Okay. Then
It's
I'm
not
just
even
gonna
that thick.
take in the
It's-
town.
This isn't like a castle wall. It's like a 1 foot thick wall. And as you kind of like begin to like walk around the general outside of the monastery, this is it. What Auric called what Dreshen called a town, this is it. This is the only building in here.
Mumbles under his breath. What a poor excuse for a town.
Fair. So we cut back inside. Korax, so you were I think you were going to say something a second ago. Is that correct?
Korax is going to hang out and basically watch whatever the rituals are. He would probably, after a while of seeing that nothing much is changing and that they're constantly just never breathing and making noise, he would probably pull out a pen and paper and just start making notes about what he's seeing, what this place is, and just keeping a tally of where he's been and what he's doing here and what these people are doing. But he would wait out whatever this meditation is. He wouldn't leave until it's complete.
Okay. Mina, what are you doing?
Mina's just looking around, taking in what there is to see. Probably making sure that Stephanie and the baby are comfortable, and Dreshen as well to a lesser extent. But
Yeah.
just looking around, making sure that everything seems. He's fairly relaxed about this, so he's just making sure everyone's comfortable.
Okay. Korax, roll me an intelligence observation based skill check. Difficulty is going to be 4.
Something like scan? Scan an area equal to 10 foot in size, including all objects and creatures within that area?
No, something more like just physical observation.
I have nothing that helps with that.
Okay.
So, intelligence. And what is the difficulty again?
Difficulty is going to be 4.
No bonus difficulty. 4, submit. And submit 20 other times after that.
Okay. So you begin to scratch in your notebook about what you're seeing here, right? Kind of keeping track of this strange new occurrence. And perhaps it is because you're so intent on capturing what is possibly a new religion, or perhaps something at least you've never seen documented in books before. You don't really notice it. Mina, you kind of deny certain things and are dealing with Dreshen and Stephanie and the baby, and so you also don't notice it. So a few minutes goes by as you are just constantly hearing that same hum. It becomes kind of background noise. And as Korak, you're writing whatever it is that you're writing. Mina, you've done your checks. Stephanie's good. Everything's fine. You guys kind of realize that Seydlitz has wandered off, which it's almost common for Seydlitz at this point. He's a grown-ass man. He can do whatever he wants. You kind of look up and like address the room at first, because everything kind of droned into like this like background thing. Like it was white noise. And perhaps you didn't even notice it. Well, I mean, obviously you didn't notice it. But you have no idea how long ago that was, that the humming has since stopped. You see everyone is still sitting there, eyes closed, hands on the table. And as you kind of look down, kind of really taking stock for a second, like, oh, the humming must have stopped. I'm not sure what. Well, that's weird. your eyes gaze down these long tables, and you see this, like, ebon-skinned man who was sat cross-legged is now in the same position, fingers still folded across his lap. He is now 3 feet above the chair. His legs are still crossed, his hands are still crossed in his lap, and he is floating 3 feet above the chair. And the room is silent.
Korax would just be looking back to Mina and the others. And him just... He wouldn't say anything.
You see
The
that
room is
Stephanie
silent.
and Dreshen have noticed this as well.
Yena will look down and check that he's not floating as well.
You are not. Your ass is
Okay.
firmly planted in a seat.
And then he'll look at Korox and go, is that normal?
He would just shake his head. Wouldn't say a word because the room is silent.
Yep. You see this man continue to sit there, and he opens his eyes, and Korax, as you're kind of looking at him with renewed intent, he opens his eyes, and as soon as his eyes open, you see this, like, soft, golden kind of glow, like, in his eyes that fades immediately. And for a second, you see a symbol. And then it's gone above his head. And then all of the people around you also open their eyes, and they're now facing forward, and they, like, raise their hands, like in unity again, and you see that there are these 4 objects that were on the floor around this man who's floating, and all 4 of them rise up and begin to slowly rotate around his head as if like planets orbiting a sun. And you see that they all continue to stand here or to sit there with their arms up as if this is perhaps another stage in the meditation. You're not entirely sure what the hell is happening here. It's definitely not what your consideration of normal is.
Korax would snap his vision over to the child and look to see if the nimbus is still above the child's head.
It is above the child's head.
And clearly visible to us.
It is clearly visible to you.
And he can't look up and see his own one. But he would look then to Mina to see if his is there and concentrate as hard as he can to see it.
You look from the child to Mina, and you think about concentrating on it, and as soon as you turn to Mina, bright as day.
Korax would look to Mina.
Mina, you see a symbol glowing above Korax's head.
Yeah, your symbol's showing. You might want to cover it, get rid of it, something.
He would lean in close to Mina. He has one too.
Mina will look over and probably take notice of the symbol, but also he's curious as to what the 4 items are that are kind of circling around as well.
They are 4. You have an eye for detail as a tailor. They are 4, from what you can tell, perfectly spherical orbs.
Is there anything? The symbol above the head of the guy that's floating, is that? Can he make out what it is?
Roll me some kind of observation-based skill. Difficulty is going to be 5. Feel free to apply whatever you have towards that.
Oh.
Ooh, you want to spend some XP to re-roll that?
I'm happy to play that out.
Okay. As you turn to look at this, you see the four spheres sort of rotating. The symbol above the head that you see, again, it's only for a quick second. It looks far more complicated than what you see above Korax's head and what you see above the child's head. It's a lot of like crisscrossing and intersecting lines. So really, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like a lot of stuff happening in that symbol. At the same time, it doesn't look multi-dimensional, as if like you saw it from different angles, it would look different. It just looks like a flat like 2D image above his head. And as you're kind of looking, the orbs begin to slowly rotate back down. And then you hear in sequence one, then the next, then the next, then the next hit, and they each make like a chime, like a what do you call those? You know the balls you kind of rotate in your hand? They make like that kind of jingling noises, like ding, 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 as they all hit the ground. And they just stay there. They don't like roll or move or anything like that. And then you see him slowly lower to the mat, to the seat as well. And he opens, he closes his eyes and reopens them. And again, Korax and now Mina, now that you're looking, you see that same kind of glow appear. And he motions to the table where you all are. And in unison, all 40 people turn towards you. And the two doors on either side of the room open, and all of the people that were serving and working in the kitchens step out and file their way around the room. And then you see two of them open the door towards the dojo side, basically, and continue out. And the room is in silence as everyone kind of looks at you. Those two men continue through the martial arts side and outside, and they see Seydlitz, and they look to you and say, "Excuse me. Please come with us."
What's the reason?
You are being honored as guests.
I'd be honored out here where it's nice and peaceful.
The honor is in the banquet hall. You are about to be addressed. Please.
That's a bummer. He takes another swig. He's a bit on the tipsy side now.
Perfect. They offer you like a hand. Please.
He smacks it away. I can walk myself.
This way, they both say calmly. Do you head back?
Yeah.
Okay. You walk back through, and as soon as you walk into the banquet hall, you notice that, again, everyone is staring at you and your table. The two men that followed you out walk back inside and close the doors behind you. And you see that the man who was sitting there before has an arm extended out still towards you and your table. And he says, "Everyone, I would like to introduce the newest in a fold of those that rise." And everyone looks towards you and like claps, which is strange. It's like that's probably the most off-putting thing that they've done the entire time, given all that you've seen. And it's this short like golf clap almost, right? And he says, "These 4 most honored guests." And Korax, as soon as you kind of like glance up to Seydlitz, you see glowing bright above his head is a symbol. They, unto the world of night, are like myself, and they are the most honored guests we have had in our hallowed halls in some time. He like puts his feet down and stands. And he says, "You 4 and your accompaniment, come, drink, and be merry with me." And he motions towards the door behind him, the double door that he walked through.
Korax would stand and sheepishly just walk towards him and that door.
Okay. You guys see Korax start to walk. Stephanie
But he's got his
stands.
notebook.
Yep.
He's tucks his
Yeah.
notebook in.
Absolutely. Stephanie stands and she begins to follow Korax. Dreshen stands and is very confused and just follows Stephanie because that's pretty much what he does, leaving Mina and Seydlitz. What are you guys doing?
Mina will look over at Seydlitz and say, I think he wants you inside.
Already got a drink right here. I'm fine.
No, I mean, it's you can save that for later. If he's got drink, then that's something you can take for the road.
I'll just steal more of his drinks. I maybe time to go to bed.
I think the bed's through that door as well. I didn't see any out that way, so.
Out of character, Seydlitz is just getting more and more progressively drunk at the moment.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Mina's dealt with his dad on a binge, so he knows how to handle Seydlitz.
Yeah. Are you trying to corral Seydlitz towards the door? Okay. Seydlitz, are you putting up any kind of fight, or are you just being corralled?
I'm just kind of going with it. He's at the not a care in the world point.
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of get like, not aggressively, but forced towards the opposite door. And all of you pass by this man, arm extended out towards the back doors. And as you pass him, Korax being the first one, like as soon as you make it past him, he smells delicious. He smells like strongly of like cinnamon and clove, which is not, it just catches you off guard. Because by everything you've seen, these should be sweaty karate masters, and he smells like cinnamon and clove. And he motions again towards the door, and as soon as you make it past his outstretched arm, the door just opens, as if to accept you into its embrace. And you walk into this room, followed by Stephanie, Dreshen, and Seydlitz, who's kind of being coerced along. And you walk into the room, followed by this man, and this room is bathed in like red light, but you're not sure from where. There doesn't seem to be any source of light. There are like scarves or like tapestries kind of canvassing down from the ceiling, almost as if giving the illusion of a yurt. They kind of hang and drape down, and the room is like very warm and like almost smoky, right? Like you ever see, like if you ever smoke hookah, that kind of like low smoke that just sort of like hangs around the room. It's kind of like that, but again, there's no source of that smoke. And this room smells of incense and spice and clove and cinnamon. And he follows you in, and the doors, without touching, close behind him. And he speaks in a low tone and says, "Welcome, most honored of guests. What have I done to receive you?"
You're very lucky. We weren't planning to come here initially. We just landed on the road and walked this direction.
I mean, it was either this or the ghost wood, and there wasn't the word ghost in front of your monastery's name, so it seemed like the lesser of two evils.
Well, then fate has deemed it. I see the mark of the divine carries within you strongly. Your arrival here is most fortuitous. Any services that we may offer, please let us know.
I seek knowledge on any like waves to where the nimbus should be on his head and how this works. If you can teach, I would love to learn.
We all seek this knowledge. The manifestation of the divine is unique in all of us. What you choose to do with it is the most important. There are those who would bend it to their will. There are those who let its will define them. I and my disciples train the body, train the mind, train the spirit. If you are so inclined, you may join the flock. However, I sense an air of destiny about you. And I feel like your journey does not stop here. In fact, it begins here. Sit. And he like motions to like a bunch of like these poofy pillows that are just kind of around. And he walks to the back of the room. Or what makes for the back of the room, because it is like almost circular with these like tapestries kind of around. And you see him return with an explanation for the smoke around the room, which is a large, 4 foot tall, probably 1.5 foot around, hookah that he places in the center of the room. And coming off of it are 4 stems. And he sits on one of the poofs, and he grabs one of the stems and just sits there. Again, in that same position as he was in the banquet hall. Legs crossed, hands crossed at his waist, holding the mouthpiece.
Mina will guide Seydlitz to sit down opposite.
Yep.
And make sure he doesn't fall over on the way down.
Perfect.
He falls over.
It's one of those, like, you get him down
You
and
have
you're
to
like,
roll to keep me from falling over.
you're like confident he's good, but then he like sits and just kind of rolls to the side on an elbow and gets himself back up.
Smooth.
No, he doesn't get himself back up. He just lays there.
That's fine. On one elbow, the hose just kind of the hose just kind of dangles in front of you. Do you then sit, Mina?
Mina will kind of look at Dreschen and Stephanie and say, are they partaking as well?
There are seats for them, but you see that there's only 4 hoses.
Okay. Yeah, he'll help Stephanie and Dreschen sit as well, and then take a seat.
Okay. Corax, observant one. What are you doing?
Corax is gonna sit. He's not gonna touch those terrible hoses that are bad for your lungs. And as he sits there, he's going to start digging through his pockets to pull out his really, really old book that he's had for many, many moons. And he feels this is a safe place now. And he had looked across to this gentleman. You keep yourself safe from the people in Corso who don't want those like us around. And he pulls out his book. He says there's many possible paths, and he holds his book of prophecy and shows it to this man.
Yeah. So you guys see for the first time this ancient tome that Corax holds. I don't think any of you would know what it is off the top of your head, but it is very old, and the way Corax is holding it, it seems to have some significance, either to Corax, or Corax believes it to have significance to this man that's sitting before you. But either way, you see this book for the first time. And as you see it, and Corax perhaps for the first time, the last time you opened it, you noticed that there was writing in the Prophecy of Restoration? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe it was.
I'm also fairly certain that it was the Prophecy of Restoration. Had been looked like it was re-inked almost.
Prophecy of Salvation.
Salvation. Okay. You see, so that's the last time you opened it. Now that you open it here in this presence, the leatherwork on the cover, the rear and front cover, any kind of like writing that's etched into it, right? The book bindings, they all seem to like glow. Like everything, not like glow, like emanate light, but everything seems to be brighter about it. Like, you know this book to be very old, but it seems to have like a new luster, a new sheen to it. Perhaps forever, perhaps just in this room. But he looks to you, and he raises the hookah hose to his hand, and you see him breathe in for quite a long time. And then he looks to you and he says, "It appears as you know why your journey is here. Prophecies are being fulfilled." And like smoke just billows out of his mouth and sort of fills the area around the base of the hookah between all of you. He says, "Your journey has started. You are champions, whether you choose to be or not." And he looks to both Mina and Seydlitz when he says "not."
Then how do we get rid of it?
You may die.
Is there a non-lethal cure?
The spark of divinity within you cannot be transferred or removed unless through death.
So we're stuck with it.
You represent something new, something unseen, something that must be represented in the Afterworld. Should you fall, someone else will represent it. Much like the child. And his eyes like dart over to Stephanie.
So if we die, another baby will be born with our symbol thing above our heads?
That is correct.
Okay. That's a bit less stress then.
I wonder what the child represents then. And who died?
The child you carry with you is the daughter of spring.
Did you explain that in a way that makes sense?
He smiles and takes another like deep draw from the hookah, and another like, billowing cloud kind of fills the room. The child will grow quickly. She is the embodiment of springtime, a new dawn, life renewed.
Mina will try to take a puff on the hookah,
Mhm.
and like anyone that hasn't tried it before, will kind of inhale incorrectly and just start kind of coughing, and then look and say, "So it's not about us; it's about the baby."
Mina, what is your most treasured memory about food?
Probably sitting down with his family at some festival with lots of friends and family around, enjoying probably something like candied apples or something like that. He's got a bit of a sweet tooth.
Okay.
So fresh candied apples.
As soon as you draw in that hookah smoke, perhaps it is breathing it in incorrectly, or perhaps it is being completely caught off guard, but it tastes exactly like that festival and those candied apples specifically. Not just like any kind of candied apples, but the taste that immediately brings you back to that moment.
I think that will just shut Mina up, and he will do what he can to keep it breathing that in without, looking uncool and choking.
Looking uncool. He says to you, "It is about the child, and it is about you. There is no coincidence that you are the ones to bring this child here, or that you are the ones to be the guardians of this child. Fate has ordained that you were where you were at the time in which you were there, just as it has brought you here, just as it will bring you to the next place in your journey."
You see, you call it fate. I call it a crazy old man coming running into a bar.
You call it whatever you like, but you still bear the Book of Prophecy.
I do.
A book penned by who was once the goddess of fate herself.
He looks down to the book. It explains why they don't want it to be seen by anyone. But still, we wouldn't have been here if Dresh and the old dude didn't come running into a bar screaming about divinity in the middle of Corso.
But he did. And you answered the call. And here you are.
Korak stops for a minute and looks to Dreshen. Why did you come looking for us?
You see he's in kind of the same like shut up stupor as Mina is, and you see that he has taken the hose that Seydlitz didn't take, and he's in that same kind of like smoke based food coma, and he looks over to you and he says, I told you, Miss Stephanie, she said she saw you in a vision, that you were the redeemers of the Afterworld. She had a description of you, the three of you, and your friend. And he like kind of looks a little bit forlorn at the absence of Octavia.
Visions and prophecies. And he sits back down and just clutches his book to his chest.
This man looks to you again, Korax, and he says, you see, this is not the first thing you've become a guardian for. And he like kind of like motions with his eyes towards the baby, meaning that the baby is the second thing you've become a guardian for, or at least the second thing. You who deny fate seem to be a guardian of fate.
I mean, you can call it fate, but I guard the knowledge, and it's a child.
You may believe what you like. This is not the last coincidence in your path.
Can we stay here and rest for a bit? It's been a hard couple of days.
You may stay here and rest as long as you need. This place is open to you.
And we are safe?
You are safe.
I will read through my book with hopefully new eyes. You say this is fate. I will take another read through.
It is a book of prophecy. One of few that exist, as I understand it.
And a lot of people have died holding them.
The dragon of Corso had most of them burned, from what I understand.
It's why it generally doesn't come out. But, and he looks around the room. This felt like a safe enough place. And if the dragon was going to be worried about this here, you wouldn't be here either.
She is aware. She's aware of Auroch, but not of the power it holds. We do our best to mask this to those who are unwelcome.
Then it's probably important that we tell you that there might be reconciliators chasing us.
It is noted. I see you have made yourself aware in Corso.
Don't know if we made ourselves aware, but people became aware.
Hmm. Where is it that you journey from here?
I think we were thinking of Samara, but we're open to suggestions. Anywhere safe is good. You seem to know more about this than we do.
I have been learning for the last 10 years myself about what this means, what it can mean, and what it will mean. I am just glad to see there are more that have risen. The world is changing, and I'm not sure if it's for the good or the bad yet. But you seem better than most.
Is it not possible for us to maybe leave the kid here with you?
It is not possible. This is not a place for a child. This is a place of deep thought and meditation. This is not a safe place for a child. Trust me, I was raised here myself.
You seem to have done all right for yourself.
I've done okay. I have taken over as the master of this monastery. But should the full force of the Nightlands rise against us for want of this child, we would fall beneath that wave. This child is a new beginning. They are uncorrupted by the Afterworld, but still susceptible.
Mina will look over at Seydlitz and kind of then look back and say, maybe we're not the best guardians as a force for not corrupting the child.
That may be true, but neither are you the worst. You were called to this woman for a reason. And you see that like Stephanie's rocking the baby and there's like a coo and you still see the glowing symbol above their head. And Stephanie kind of looks up at you, all of you, and kind of smiles.
Yeah, still not convinced we're the best people to be taking this baby, but I guess if we can't stay here, at least if we can rest up for a few days, we'd appreciate it.
You may rest up as long as you need. You may resupply. You may have a breath of air and be on your way. We are but a stopping point in your journey. And he breathes into the hookah again, and another huge rolling kind of cloud. This cloud is now like billowing around, like like the bottom of your ribs high, like just above the navel, as you guys are all sat down on these poofs. Seydlitz is like underneath it, possibly asleep. We don't know. We're not entirely sure.
Seydlitz has actually stood up a bit. He's strangely sobered up somewhat. He's waiting for a moment to ask something, but it's not the right time yet.
There is a pause in the conversation. If you have a question, Seydlitz.
He's waiting for everybody else to leave.
Okay. Yeah, this man continues to smoke on his hookah unless anyone has questions. He doesn't really direct you where to go to stay here. You would assume there's some kind of bunking or quarters to house the other 50 some odd people that are here. But he just continues to sit here and smoke on the hookah, ready to answer any questions you might have in the best way he can, which is mystically.
So not really answering any questions we have.
That is correct. You guys wanted to play
I
a
think-
game about rising gods. This is what you get.
I think Mina will look at the child and Stephanie and say, maybe we should retire. I don't think a smoke-filled room is the best for a newborn baby.
Sure. Dreschen gets to his feet, and you see him like scoop an arm and like help Stephanie to hers. And they follow you. They meet with you and follow you towards the door. Corex, what about you?
How well lit is the room? I'm assuming it's relatively dim.
It's dim and like lit by some unseen source of red light.
During the last quite a bit of conversation, Corax has just been staring down at his book trying to read, and he would look up to this master and say, I'm going to go find somewhere better to read. You've given me a lot to think of. I'll have questions, but I need to think on this. And he stands up, sort of bows to him, and walks off to go and find somewhere better lit. If there's sort of a library or anything like that he can go and read in, he would go there. Otherwise, he would just find a room with a decent light that isn't red. And
Yeah, you kind of walk back out to the like the feast hall, and that room was well lit, and there's no one in there anymore. You're welcome to explore further, but that's the first well lit room you see.
he would explore further. He would look for somewhere a bit more private.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's no one in there, it's quite an open room.
Yeah.
Unless are there only doors on one side?
There's doors on both sides. There's one door on either side of the room. But you did see like the like essentially the wait staff, whoever's job it was to bring the food out, come from both of those doors. So you're not entirely sure where those doors lead to.
His goal would be to get as far away from doors as possible.
Okay.
So if there's a spot in that room that's completely opposite from the doors that he could just sit there and have some privacy.
So there's the door you just came out of, which is a double door. There's a double door on the opposite end, and then basically dead center across from each other is another set of doors. So in one of the corners is probably the most far away from doors you can get, or like dead center of the room.
I think he would go out. His book's tucked away as before he even left the room.
Sure.
And he would go and look for another place that is completely quiet.
Sure. The only places you know that you haven't explored is through those two doors on either side of the room.
Where did Mina go?
Mina, where did you go? You would have had to go through one of those two doors as well.
Yeah, I think whichever was closest, Mina would have gone through there looking for somewhere to put Stephanie and the child and Dreschen.
Yeah, Mina, you proceed through one of the doors. We'll say you proceed through the door on the right, and you see that there is right through the door. There is an archway that has stairs that lead down, and then this corridor continues forward, and you see it goes forward, and there's another hallway that leads off to the right. The hallway that goes forward ends in like a round room with what looks to be like a well in it, and the door that goes to the right seems to hook back around to like whatever's behind that guy's room, to be like a series of like bunkhouses.
He'll take Stephanie and Dreschen to where the bunkhouses are and find a room that might be unoccupied.
Yeah, in fact you see one of these martial artist dressed people, and he motions to you, kind of nods in that same like 5-second bow, and then he motions to you to one of the doors, and you walk in, and it's a door that has 6 beds in it.
Yeah, he'll set Stephanie and Dreschen up in one of the beds, then grab a blanket and a pillow and go sit behind the door.
Like against the door?
No, but behind it. So if the door opens up, he's behind it.
Gotcha. Okay. You do that. And Korax, back in the dining hall, you see that one of the doors, the one on the right, is slightly ajar. Like it didn't close all the way.
He would go through there then looking for one of these ninjas.
Okay.
To try and get some directions then.
You see that door, right, the archway on your left that has stairs leading down. You see straight ahead of you is a circular room that looks like a well. You notice that room is lit as well. It seems to be lit from above, and there seems to be no one in that room. And you see that there is a person down the right hand, the same hallway that Mia just went through.
He would walk up to that person, do a quick bow because he doesn't remember how long it's supposed to be.
He follows it.
I'm looking for somewhere where I can study, where you would meditate, somewhere quiet, in peace, away from everyone else.
He nods to you and just starts walking the direction you came from.
He would follow.
He gets to the end of the hallway, and he leans forward and motions to the round room that has the well, or the thing that looks like a well.
He would look around at all the doors. Is there somewhere more private?
There's no doors. So there's so essentially you walk out of the kitchen. There's a staircase down. There's the door. There's the hallway you just went through that has doors, and the hallway that ends in a circular well. That's it. It just goes straight and ends in a circular room with no doors and a well in the middle of it.
He would bow then and say thank you, and he would go and sit down in a corner opposite the door with his cloak onto his knees with a book sitting on top.
As you walk in there, you notice that there is a light source at the top of the room, and the room seems very bright. And as you kind of walk into the room, you see that this circular stone well thing, is not a well at all. In fact, once you get close to it, you see that there is a recessed bowl in this stonework that has a small amount of water in it. That strangely enough, the water matches the concave nature of the bowl. It doesn't fill straight across. The water also is bowl-shaped, as if adhering to the walls of this thing. And the bowl is something like gold. You're sure it's not actually gold because that's ridiculous. But it is something like gold, and it is reflecting the light back out into the room. And you are able to take a seat, pull your cloak out, and read that book. And as you begin to read, we will cut back over to Seydlitz, who is alone, standing in a smoke-filled room looking at this sitting man.
I would like to roll to. He wants to make sure there is nobody else around listening.
Yeah, let's see here. Roll me assessing danger. Difficulty is going to be 5. Okay. You are super confident there's no one here.
Critical success. Wow.
Yep.
He's going to look at the man and ask just this. At what cost, sir?
At whatever
If you
cost is deemed necessary.
say we deny fate, say I follow this arduous fate, what would it cost us? Well, what would it cost me to follow through with this?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. But the same can be said if you deny fate. Fate will find a way. Whatever spark of divinity resides inside of you was chosen for this task. And if you follow your path, you will be changed forever. If you deny your path, fate will find a way to bring that divinity back. And soon.
Then what do I need to succeed then?
I am not an arbiter of fate. I am but a stepping stone. I can only tell you what I know. My fate is only entwined in yours as far as the bounds of this monastery. Once you leave here, I am of no more service to you.
I'm not willing to give up everything if that's what it means.
If you don't, you'll have nothing to give.
Why is fate always so fickle?
Your spark of divinity was chosen for this task. As I said, if you deny it, fate will find a way to bring that spark back.
It's like everything's decided from birth, huh? Never liked believing that way.
In some cases,
I feel bad for this child already.
perhaps this child is what brings us back from the brink.
And what if in the end it doesn't?
Well,
What if it spells our doom?
then that is ordained as well. I'm not sure if you are the ones to bring ruin or the ones to bring salvation. The young miss seems to believe you are the redeemers of the Afterworld. I don't know any redeemers that would bring doom on the world, but, as I have said, your fate is your own.
It is my own. And he stands up. And he looks at, have a good night, sir. And he walks out.
And you as well, great hunter. And the door kind of closes behind you. And as the door closes behind you, we transition back to Corex, who is sitting, cloak folded over his legs, reading the Book of Prophecy. Corax, what's going on, buddy?
He's trying to understand better about this now that he knows that this was written by the Daughter of Fate.
The Goddess of Fate.
Goddess of Fate. To see if he can try and figure out what he's missed in his previous readings.
Okay.
Or if he understands things better with a new perspective. It's probably a better way of wording that.
Okay. So you're kind of meditating on this book. Okay. Interesting. Roll me knowledge divinity. Intellect difficulty 6, knowledge divinity.
So knowledge of godly beings. That's the one?
Yep, knowledge of godly beings.
And difficulty 6.
Difficulty 6.
No bonuses because I'm reading this book.
Nope.
In a special magic place with a magic ball.
Nope. It's a good try. I appreciate the effort.
Can I spend some effort on that?
You can
actually?
absolutely spend as much effort as you're able.
Let's go back and try that again. Difficulty 6, not 5, 6. Effort to roll, I can do 1. And go forth and roll. And that's probably... Oh.
Okay. Cool. Seydlitz, where are you going once you leave the room?
He's going to go someplace where he can take in the night air again.
Okay. Seydlitz, you walk out through the dojo, through the Great Hall, through the dojo, back outside where you were so offensively accosted by those gentlemen trying to honor you. No more bottle in hand at this time. Well, you have the bottle, but it's empty now.
He's put it away.
Yeah. And you take in the night air. And you stand out there kind of leaning against the wall like you were before, and you kind of like look up as you kind of breathe deeply and think about what you just heard and how your fate has been decided for you, and how it is not your own, and how, even if you deny fate, something could still happen, kind of thing, right? And these kind of thoughts wash over you. And as you kind of just look up, you see a single star streak across the sky, which is strange because usually Nod blocks out most of the stars. The darkness cast over the Nightlands isn't natural, doesn't usually reflect that kind of stars. It's the shadow of a giant moon. But nonetheless, you see a single star in the night sky streak across and disappear. And you feel like a sense of wanting to go home, right? That sense of denial that has been with you this entire time, of like, you're not a hero. You're mostly inconvenienced by this mission, this whatever this is, divine or otherwise. That hesitance, that resistance to follow this alleged fate. And perhaps it is the drink, perhaps it is the smoke, perhaps it is the conversation that occurred around you. But as you kind of lean your head back and look up at Nod, you feel this fear gnaw at the back of your head. And as you kind of look up, the center of the moon cracks open. And you see the lids of an eye roll back, much like a dream you once had, and a great red glow beams down, washing over you and the monastery. And as you stare into the eye of Nod, you see in the iris your home ablaze. Mina, you sit in the room, protectively watching over the child, the mother, and the strange old man who has somehow found himself in your company. You have been the most watchful of them, the most protective of them, and you sort of sit there, spear, I assume, kind of across your lap in the event of something happening, probably fiddling with some kind of needlework or some kind of frayed area on your tunic or your robe or something like that. And you sit quietly as you watch the snoring sounds of Dreshen, the rise and fall of Sephany, and the gentle roll and coo of the child who is sat beside her. And you see this glow from the child's head, that same symbol that you've seen before, the one that Korax claims you have, but you couldn't clearly have. That's ridiculous. That's a spark of divinity. You're not divine, nor do you believe in the divine. But you sit there and you watch as that glow grows brighter. It kind of washes over the child and the mother and sort of spills like water, almost, down the sides of the bed. And it flows outward. Unlike a normal kind of light that would grow in all directions, this one flows like water down and towards you. And as you watch it, it kind of writhes and wiggles like vines growing in a forest in faster than usual speed, kind of stretching out towards you. And you feel warmth and hope as it kind of hits your foot, your crossed legs, and sort of wraps you in those kind of those vines. And as it like climbs up your body, up your chest, you feel that hope kind of rise. And for a second, you feel that same fear in the base of your neck. You don't see your family in any kind of danger, but you feel pursuit, as if you're running from something. The same fear you felt when you knew those knights were going to find you. except the fight or flight in which you chose fight at that time, it's flight. There's something coming for you. There's something coming for whatever it is you're doing. And you feel in the back of your mind that if it catches you, it is your absolute ruination. And as soon as you accept that, if you are caught, you're done. The warmth and the vines that are around you wither and crumble like the fall, and you see them fall to ashes around you, and the room seems that much more small and almost claustrophobic. We cut to Corax, who has sat in the room, studying the Book of Prophecy, trying his damnedest to use his knowledge of godly beings. And as you do so, you are trying to concentrate on these pages. You're flipping back and forth. It's a thick book, but there's so few words written in it. Why? Why is it such a large book? Why is it so ancient and sought after if there are only 7 prophecies? If each prophecy is only 1 to 2 lines of text, who would write a book with so many pages in between each prophecy? It makes absolutely no sense. You're a learned young lad. You've seen books. You love books. This book makes no sense. It's as if it was half written. And it dawns on you, unfinished. These are the opening lines of chapters yet to be written. And as you flip back and forth through these pages, much like when you opened it and saw that the prophecy of salvation had been rewritten, you see that the prophecy of understanding is also emboldened, as if that chapter has been recently repenned. The words, again, are the same as you recall them, but it looks as though they were just written. And as you look down at this book, you don't notice that the bright glow above you is glowing brighter and brighter and spilling out from this golden pool in front of you, as the room kind of fills with this bright yellowish light reflecting off the gold. It sort of fills the area around you, removing any kind of shadow as you look down at this book, trying to figure out why that passage has been emboldened. What did you just understand? How does this apply to the previous one? How does it apply to your life? Does it apply to your life? All these questions sort of rush through your head. And you find yourself leaning forward, closer and closer to the pages of the book, as if perhaps physically getting closer to the pages would help you understand more. And as we see your head hit the book, you seem to fall forward into its pages, into nothingness, into some kind of darkness. And you see before you a great dark sphere moving in this abject darkness. Whatever it is, you can still see the sphere move, even though it matches the darkness around you, and it rotates towards you. And as it rotates towards you, you see that it is the same eye from a dream you had not too long ago. And the eye rotates and focuses on you. Lids open, you see the eye of Nod watching you. No matter where you move in this vast darkness, its gaze follows you. And for some reason, you understand deep at your core, this is true. No matter what you do, when you awake from what you assume to be this dream, the eye of Nod is watching you. And that cannot be good. And that is where we end this episode of The Rise. You guys are getting fucked by fate! Get wrecked!
Seydlitz vision, you basically just immediately enrage Seydlitz to a point where he may go off and do something crazy.
Well, good thing your family's in Samara. I read backstories.
I know you do.
So the corruption bars, for everyone curious, there was 2 of them. One was the acknowledgement of the man, your stuff, your nimbuses brightly glowing and having that whole thing, him noticing it, because that was not going to happen. And the Eye of Nod watching you was the other one. You have drawn the ire of the Eye of Nod. So let's go around, do our introductions, get the hell out of here, do our after show, and get these guys' thoughts on what the hell just happened and how they plan to escape fate. We'll start with the top left on the screen. Snow, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Norm or Snowdogs on all the socials as Snowdogs and lurking around in the Discord.
Perfect. Right below him, Necro, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Chris, aka Necro. Up to nothing. I would say we're here next week, but next week is...
I'm having a baby.
Mike having babies.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Discord.
Perfect.
There you go. It's in the chat.
It is right down there. And last but not least, DE, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
I'm Matt, aka DE. Stretch. You'll find me in Mike's Discord and bouncing about a lot of other Discords actually lately.
Nice.
Just kind of, I'm out there. You might find me watching Twitch, just working here. But if you need me, just contact me on Mike's Discord. That's where I'll be.
Hell yeah. And as always, guys, if you like this show, if you like the other shows we do, the best way to support this channel is our Patreon link down below. Get all kinds of behind-the-scenes exclusives, including the after show for this, where we talk about these guys' feelings about the game, their thoughts and their wishes, and what they thought were the highlights of the episode. And while you're down there, hit that Discord button, join us in the Discord, be a part of the conversation, be a part of the community. But for now, we will see you for more Rise next month. So from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.